Okay, so this is related to Democrats losing things in key battleground states. And this is at least what I think, which is the fact that they're unwilling to be tough on crime and tough on criminals. And in California, I know they made some crimes into misdemeanors. Like stealing something less than $400 from a store is a misdemeanor. And what happens is repeat offenders continuously take stuff because they know the limit they can before they get the law actually thrown at them. And the thing is that being tough on crime isn't racist, isn't evil. It's taking the bad people out and taking them away from society. Then the good people finally have an opportunity to have everything they have around them grow and flourish. Why would you want to put a school around a place that has a huge amount of crime when instead you could lock up all the criminals? Then, when the students go to school, you can tell that they're going to be safe. Something like that. That's what they should be looking at. They shouldn't be looking at this like any other thing than that.
It's time for Lefties
Yep.
Losing It. Let's start with the fascinating revelations about
Uh-huh.
how much the Democrats are paying mindless,
Oh
unprincipled
god.
influencers to post anti Trump,
I
pro
know
Democrat
that.
propaganda. Crap like this.
Mr. Trump is out here trying to delete the Department of Education, and teachers are getting cut left and right. Our classes are packed, and we have like zero funding.
Trump says America
Oh
first and then
god.
guts the most American institutions we've got.
This is signaling preparations to possibly deploy the United States military against American citizens.
It's not against citizens. It's against criminals. There's a difference. Citizens are people that don't break laws and don't need to be coddled up for. They chose to they know they're committing crimes. So what's the point of keeping them there? Take them away from society and take them out.
In Chicago.
Every Republican is currently in Congress voting to destroy the lives of millions of Americans.
So authentic,
Yep.
so much conviction from Lefties Losing It. Not really. According to a new report, a secretive dark money group tied to the Democratic
God.
Party is paying online influencers up to $8,000 a month to disseminate left-leaning talking points. Among those named is Olivia Juliana, the Gen Z activist who spoke at the 2024 Democratic National Convention.
As the
Oh my god, I remember her. This is this is like the genius they thought. Okay, we need to get young white men on board with the Democrats. So let's get a fat lady to represent them because that's obviously what they want. When you look at things like Stellar Blade versus Halo, like you can tell the representation men want. But then the thing is, why her? Plus, I remember one she said one thing related to liking frat boys. And dude, it made me, oh my god. I felt secondhand embarrassment and I wasn't even there.
saying goes, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
And the Democrats thought she was
the lady who
just the
could eat you.
influencer to bring young, disaffected men back into the Democrat camp.
Oh.
I spent a lot of time on college campuses, and
Okay, I know exactly what this is the one I meant by frat boys. I can't believe they're gonna use this clip. Oh my god. Oh my god, I'm just gonna let it play, but dude, this is so embarrassing. The moment she said that, they should have fired her and never let her touch the mic ever again. Absolute wasted potential.
spent a lot of time with
loves young men.
I love young men. I love frat guys.
Like, oh, I love young men. I love frat guys. Not all young men are frat guys. And plus, I don't think many men, at least a lot of the more reasonable ones, would like to hear a girl likes frat guys that is supposed to represent them. Like, I'm sorry, but that sounds kind of weird.
Yeah, that little campaign didn't work out so well, no matter how much she loves young men. Yep, the Democrats are so desperate to engineer support that they are paying influencers up to $8,000 a month to post lefty propaganda. They are trying to create the illusion of grassroots support, just like they tried to engineer fake news, Russian collusion hoaxes, and those weird polls right before the election that were all wrong in the same direction. And talking about polls, let's check in with CNN's polling expert on how well the Democrats are going. How are they going, Harry?
Let's see.
Bad, bad, bad. What are you doing? Oh, my goodness gracious. What are we talking about here in terms of big party registration changes in the key swing?
Wait, and before we continue, this is CNN. This is not Fox News. You expect Fox News to dunk on CNN, but when it's CNN dunking on CNN, you know something is goddamn wrong. Let's see.
Swing states. Let's look at the key 4 swing states that, in fact, do keep track of registration by party.
Oh,
look,
God.
the Republican Party is in their best position at this point in the cycle since at least 2005, and all 4 of these key battleground states. We go out to the Southwest, Arizona. How about Nevada? Republicans haven't done this well since 2005. Oh, my goodness gracious, at this point in the cycle. North Carolina, I couldn't find a point at which Republicans were doing better at this point in the cycle. It's at least this century. It probably goes way back in the last century. And Pennsylvania, very similar. Republicans doing better at this point than at any point this century, at least as far as I could find.
I should have given the lefties a trigger warning before that last clip. For the rest of you, perhaps a cold shower or a cigarette after hearing this.
When it comes to party registration, Republicans have made massive gains compared to 8 years ago. They are in their best position in these key 4 swing states. But at this point, as I said at the beginning, the Democratic brand is in about as good a position as the Cracker Barrel rebrand. It is bad, bad, bad for the Democrats.
Absolute shit.
Bad, bad, bad for the Democrats. And one of the reasons the Democrats are struggling is their soft on crime philosophy. They don't care about law and order. They don't.
Exactly. This is not a big of an issue as a lot of people think it is. This is a 90% of people want you to be tough on crime because they don't want to see their grocery stores robbed every day and closing down because of crime. They want their kids to be safe. They want their transportation to be safe. They want to be able to make sure they can make it home without being put in danger. And that's the downside, which is not being tough on crime is just dumb. It is just dumb. It's not even a 50-50. It never will be.
Believe in properly punishing offenders. They don't prioritise victims and law-abiding members of the community. Just listen to this lefty losing it at the DNC summer meeting last week. Claimed that Americans don't care about violent crime. They're more worried about addressing mental health issues.
Issues voters care about. Where does Trump go? Migrant crime, carjackings, the really lurid, awful stuff that is a crazy, crazy visual. Don't take the bait, because most Americans are more worried about how are we going to address mental health issues.
Mental health. The best thing for someone's mental health is to make sure there are no criminals on the street so they feel safe every time they go home. There you go. Mental health saved. And guess what? You didn't put a single dollar into mental health. You put it all into law enforcement, and it just managed to fix that secondary problem by itself without any other secondary means of doing it.
The visible homelessness that we see on streets.
Put them in asylums, put them in places to try and help them get back into society. But do not let people on drugs just sit around doing whatever they want, because some of them are crazy. And look, you take them out, rehabilitate them, get the ones that can go back into society to go on, and then the ones that can't, well, sadly, they're just going to be there forever. That's the easy answer.
And how do we deal with mental health and other issues that drive the sort of random incidents that scare all of us? That's what you should be talking about. That's where you should be focused. Don't take the bait in talking about migrant crime or carjackings or the things that actually don't matter to that many Americans.
Bruh.
With the likes of her advising the Democrats, they'll be in the political wilderness for some time to come.
Oh, God.
And they're going so badly that the frontrunners to be the Democrat presidential candidate are awful. One of them is this woman.
They are.
And I ask you to remember the context in which you exist.
I'm going to tell you right now, get this woman off. She does not deserve any type of position in race. She can't even talk on the Joe Rogan podcast. She didn't want to have an honest conversation where Joe Rogan just asked her regular questions he would any other guest. She wanted it all to be specially made for her, all the answers and questions to be tailor-made for her. He basically wanted him to go soft on her, not say anything rude, not say anything that's important, because what she wanted was to be treated softly, even though she wants to be the president of the goddamn United States of America. Absolute worthless candidate. One of the worst of pretty much the last 100 years. Like, how do you make Joe Biden, who's so badly put together at this point, look like a better candidate than you? Kamala, you fucked up.
Yeah, I did that.
Oh my god.
Gosh, I miss that weirdo. She's still a front runner along with this next dude who has managed to cause untold damage in California. These days, Gavin Newsom pretends to be against the excesses of the trans cult, but it wasn't long ago when he was mocking, when he was laughing at the notion of parents being sidelined as their kids are being transitioned.
Why should parents
Newsom.
know
Piece
their
of shit.
kids are transitioning at school?
It's a hell of a thing. You're talking about 1% of the population. Climate change, its impact, 100% of the population wasn't even brought up. And we're talking about trans issues.
Here in California, this is an issue for you.
It's a big issue for...
And exactly. You're the governor of California. A California issue is an issue that you're representative of. You're the head of California. You're the president of California. You should look at that and say, this looks bad, I'm gonna fix it. But instead, you're like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's your goddamn state, you loser. Like, that's the equivalent of Trump being like, oh, I don't care about America while running the United States of America.
This is a front and center issue. It's the great, this is one of the greatest distractions, and it's classic. 1% of the population in the United States, these kids just want to live. These kids just want to live. And we're having a debate about trans issues at the Reagan Library. It's not to be ashamed.
These kids just want to live. Oh, dear, Gavin. That video is all the Republicans need. They just have to play that on high rotation to ensure we never end up with President Newsom. God forbid.
Goddamn Newsom.
Joining me now is filmmaker and commentator Ami Horowitz. Ami, I started Lefties with news that a dark money group is paying pro-Dem influencers up to $8,000 a month, according to Wired magazine. The names included in this report are among the most recognisable lefty.
Bro, why does she look like she's 3 seconds away from eating Joe Biden? Man, you better get the fuck out of there, man.
Influencers online, Ami.
Yeah, look, dark money is being used by everyone. Let me give you a real brief history of campaign finance in America. So there's hard money, right, spending, which means you give specific money to specific candidates. It's highly regulated by the Federal Election Committee, the FEC, and there are caps to what you can give to people. That led to what we call soft money. Now, soft money, pre-2002, was when you can give an unlimited amount of money to political parties, not particular political politicians, but parties for use in those campaigns. Now, that was banned in 2002. And in 2010, we have another form of soft money, which is super PACs, which we all know about, which exists today, unlimited amount of money to people, but it must be disclosed. Now, dark money, which you were referring to, is a slightly different animal, which is you can give money to not super PACs, but you can give money to nonprofit organizations, unlimited amounts of money, and you do not have to disclose who the donors are. And that's what we're referring to. Now, look.
Yeah, I'm going to say that. Regulation has to be made to disclose who it is, because people being paid to have a political opinion, like, I'm sorry, but I don't take you as seriously as people who don't get paid. Like, hell no. Because the thing is, once they know, are you a liar who's pretending and just doing it for the money, or are you telling the truth and actually believe in it? Like, the only reason I think a person should be trusted is if they specifically outright say, hey, I'm being paid by these people. These are people I support. Just so you guys know ahead of time what you're getting yourself into. Like, I would respect that over just outright pretending you're not on a side and then just lying, no matter whose party it is.
I may surprise you on this. I don't have a particular problem with it because it's legal and both sides do it. In fact, the Republicans excelled at it for a long time, right? But now, and the Democrats always bemoaned it.
Remember, just because one side does it and your side does it doesn't mean it's good or bad, depending on what you want. It's either always bad or it's always good. And this is one of those things where I consider it always bad, but if I can't have that way, then I go to the second method, which is both of them should just do it.
Saying, oh, well, the rich billionaires are giving money to Republican candidates and causes. Now, that flipped in 2024. Now, Democrats in 2024 outspent Republicans 2-1. Okay?
Damn.
They just figured out how to do it. Now, nothing to say Republicans can't do the same thing. They can't pay, I don't know, me, I'm just kidding, or influencers to promote talking points. They're just not doing it as effectively. So, look, do I have a particular problem? No. If you want to talk in context of total campaign finance reform, I'm open for that discussion. But right.
Oh, yeah. I think this guy's point is reasonable, which is both parties can do it. So the way to win is just who does it better. I still think it should just be outright banned completely by laws. But if it can't, this is sadly the second best option, which is sadly not even that good to begin with.
Right now, it's legal. And therefore, I say Republicans, get your game on.
Yeah.
Well, I don't care if it's legal. I just think it's dishonest. I mean, giving money as a billionaire or anybody is one thing, but it's the lack of transparency that I have issue with. The fact that we've got these influencers pretending they are invested in an issue, creating content, sharing it to their followers, when really they're just motivated by the paycheck. What they actually think, who knows? And I think that's that lack of transparency. There should be some sort of a disclosure if you're taking money to state a particular opinion. Now, we know the Democrats paid the likes of Oprah and Beyonce to be part of their campaign.
Oh, she talked about Beyonce.
Don't you think there should be a requirement that anyone being paid for a political endorsement at least declares it somewhere?
Yeah, look, that's a very fair argument, and one that I'm not unsympathetic to. Now, there are disclosure rules, and while you don't have to talk about who donated money to dark money, the people receiving money do depend. It's a very great look. It's a very gray area. Legally, you do have to disclose certain things, but there are ways around it, and I'm sure that these 501c3s have spent a lot of money on lawyers making sure that they're living on the right side of the gray area.
Oh, God.
Now, Donald Trump says he's determined to tackle crime in America's big cities. These big cities are always run by the Democrats, and often they're riddled with crime army. We've got talking about places like DC, NYC, LA, Chicago. And the president posted this.
Every big city. Even in the red states, every big city needs to be checked and needs to be cleaned up, because big cities usually tend to have this problem. But yeah, we need to get all that shit cleaned up. Those are supposed to be the tourist spots that everyone goes to.
It said 6 people were killed and 24 people were shot in Chicago last weekend.
Holy shit.
And J.B. Pritzker, the weak and pathetic governor of Illinois, just said...
It's sad to say, but if someone I knew told me that this happened over the process of 2 days in Chicago, to be honest, I would not be surprised.
He doesn't need help in preventing crime. He is crazy, capital letters. He better straighten out fast or we are coming. The Illinois governor has made a fool of himself in recent days, for a number of reasons. But what do you see? How do you see his stance on law and order and his claim that Illinois, Chicago doesn't need Donald Trump or the feds in there helping them reduce
they
crime?
need that shit.
Look, again, you and I have talked about this before. I have issues with using. Look, DC is one thing. We've talked about it before. It is under the mandate of the federal government. Now, when it comes to states, it's a whole different ball of wax. Look, I have seen the National Guard be used very effectively in certain places. For example, the BLM riots, right, or the LA riots. Those are reasons. These are national emergencies that the president certainly has a legal right to call the National Guard to quell that. I've also seen the National Guard be used very effectively when they are going after specific targets. So, for example, you see them in transit hubs, at stadiums, at certain federal buildings, right, that have maybe specific targets or threats against them. Also very effective. The problem is that, look, it's the National Guard is a blunt object. They're not trained for policing. They have certain training and they're very good at it. And when it comes to, say, reducing crime in the short term, like in DC, they can do that very effectively.
Yeah, they definitely can.
Long term, they're just not a police force, right? Police forces are trained in different ways. They need to know a neighborhood, know the community, do investigations on.
Oh, I understand his point, but the way I see it is, why not have 3 times the manpower, and then hopefully they can fix their police forces. If they don't, then people there will finally realize, hey, it's the fault of our mayor, not the fault of the president for this happening.
On crime. That's how you effectively reduce crime long term, by effective policing. So, yeah, look, I see why you... Yeah.
But why can't Trump declare a national emergency? Why can't he decide that the crime rate in a city like Chicago warrants the National Guard being there? And I understand what you're saying about long-term solutions. They may go in there and reduce the crime rate for a...
Oh, I know what this is going on. Before we begin, he's taking a more libertarian right stance, where she's taking a more authoritarian right stance, where the government should do this to get rid of that. And then he's taking it as more, we should leave it to the states because it's ultimately their area and they're more capable of doing it themselves. Well, yeah, let's see.
Period of time. But doesn't that at least show that it can be done, that there is a way to tackle crime? Because for decades now, it seems in the big cities, we've been conditioned to just accept crime as a part of life rather than something that can actually be reduced dramatically, perhaps even eliminated.
Look, he can legally, and this is the part of the legal argument going on, he can if he calls it a federal emergency. And they can be called into police crime. But look, I'm just telling you from a conservative perspective, I have always and will always lean toward smaller government, less federal intervention, and local community governance. That's just...
Yep. Yeah. I bet this guy would love Calvin Coolidge. But anyways, let's continue.
The way I'm wired, it's my conservative belief system. I believe long-term, that is better than a short-term fix, okay? Look, I will tell you this. One of my biggest problems I have for American democracy is the growth in executive power. I don't like it. I don't like it for Trump. I didn't like it under Biden. I didn't like it under Obama, which is where we saw the real growth. And I think it's a real danger to our democracy when you have executive growth like we've seen it. I just don't like it. I'm sorry, Rita, I just don't.
Yeah, but anyways, that's it. At least my point is, I still think he should just go through it with the cities, clean everything, and then get them the fuck out. And at least for me, I still think he should just go through cleaning the cities, showing people that, hey, this is what happens when everything's done. And then the moment he leaves and it all goes to crap, they'll see that, hey, maybe it wasn't Trump that was making the cities dangerous. Maybe it was the guy running the city that neglected to make the city safe. But yeah, do not die on this hill that we're not going to punish crime. Instead, we're going to focus on mental health, because that is absolute basura. Holy crap. Because that is absolute dog water.